I'm Alex Dykes, and today we're in the 2014 Lexus GS 450h, and we're taking a look at the Lexus Enform system. This is the same system you'll find in the Lexus LS as well as the Lexus GS. It uses this large 12-inch information display right here in the dashboard, as well as the Lexus remote controller, which is sort of that joystick style controller that you'll find in the center console. This is one of my least favorite entries in the modern luxury car segment, and it's really all down to that controller, because I find this software very intuitive, very easy to use, but the controller is a little bit more difficult. I find that it takes an awful lot more attention span in order to control this system than it does those other systems out on the market, especially touchscreen systems, which are typically my preference. I'd love to know what you think, so be sure and comment in that comment section down below. Let's start off here in the main menu. Right here you'll find our destination entry screen. We can of course enter destinations with the voice commands. You can also do it right here on this screen. We also have presets right down there across the bottom. The next option in the main menu is Info and Apps. So we go over to there. Apps is where you'll get your smartphone integrated apps that works on both an Android or a smartphone device. We have an iPhone paired right here, and you can do things like streaming audio, etc. with this system. We can also get our hybrid energy monitor as well as fuel consumption here. We have our current, our past energy record, and then our little display there with the electric motor, the engine, and the battery. Go back again, we can get Sirius XM traffic incidents. Lexus Insider is pre-canned voice messages about your car and other features that are delivered to you via that Sirius XM data service. XM Nav Weather, XM Stocks, Sports, and fuel prices as well. You'll also see over here on the right side of this screen, you'll see this separate section which you can change. And so right now we're seeing our fuel economy information there, and you can cycle between trip information, past record, consumption, and that energy monitor. Again, if you hit this little button, that brings up that display over here on the larger screen. You can also click on these other tabs across the top, and we can get our audio. We can also get our climate up there. And this one is not a tab, it's just a fixed information showing your Bluetooth signal strength as well as your Bluetooth paired phone's strength with their network. Back on the main menu, Setup is where we can adjust a wide range of vehicle settings in this system. We have general voice, phone, Bluetooth, etc. You can also get navigation information as well as voice command information right there. Scooting across to the radio is where you'll find the HD radio, Sirius XM, as well as AM and FM radio. We're now on the satellite tab, and as you can see, we have our presets right here across the left side. These are shared between AM, FM, and satellite radio, so if we scroll up and see a different set, you'll see those are all AM entries right there on that set. They can be programmed for any of those three entries. Scan does logically what you'd think. It scans stations. We can skip type right there, so we can skip across to our Canadian entries, pop entries, etc. We can adjust the sound in many of these screens by just hitting the sound button. That's where you can adjust your bass, treble, etc. You can also scoot across this and see that we also have our disc, our iPod, our Bluetooth audio, and our auxiliary input. If we go back to the main menu, that's exactly where you'd get if you went to this media selection in the main menu screen. You can see now we're right over here. Once this little message pops away, you'll see that right here we're on the iPod tab. We also have a Bluetooth audio tab. We have random and repeat over there. If we click right here, you can get the song listing for your current playlist. You can go track forward, backward. You can also click down here to browse, and then we can have full access to artists, albums, genres, etc. There are also full voice commands now in this generation of Enform for all the iPod and media device interactions. Over on the sound tab, we have access to our treble, bass, our fader right there, as well as DSP for the surround system that is included in our particular model of GS. Going back once again to this main screen, we're going to now click over to Climate. This is where you would control your 3-zone climate in our GS or certain other Lexus products. The LS also has a 3-zone climate mode. We also have an air filter screen, so we can turn on our active air filter. This is also where you will find the windshield wiper de-icer. This is not a heated windshield like you would find in Jaguar or Land Rover products. This is just an additional de-icer system that is below the windshield level, and it just keeps the windshield wipers frost-free while they're parked. We can also cycle to the rear zone with this little option right there, and we can see what our rear climate is set to. Lastly, if we take a look at this mapping interface, you can see that the map does not occupy the entire screen like it would in a Bmw Idrive style system. We also don't have a 3D version of this mapping software, so it's really just north up and direction up are the only two modes that we get in the system. It does display Sirius XM nav traffic, as you can see on the highway markings there, And the system is very responsive because it's all flash-based in this generation. So interacting with the map is very snappy, interacting with the mapping system is very snappy, entering addresses is very snappy. It's just not as attractive as BMW's Idrive. Although this is one of my least favorite input methods, this system does rank above Audi's MMI or Mercedes Command in my book. Definitely below the Acura system, the Infiniti system, as well as the BMW system, however. The BMW Idrive system is very easy to use in its current generation. It got a lot of bad press initially because the first versions of Idrive were not very intuitive, but the current generation is very attractive, very intuitive. It has a very high resolution display, much more attractive mapping interface, and I think it's also a little bit better laid out. You can also more effectively use the entire screen in that BMW Idrive system. So in this setup, this map will never use this portion of the screen. This portion of the screen is really just for these three functions: the audio, the climate, and the fuel economy screen. So you can never make additional use of that screen real estate like you can in Idrive or some of the other systems. Mercedes is still stuck with a very small screen in the current generation E-Class. It just doesn't look that attractive to me. The software is also very slow. Even though they've tried including some additional features like smartphone integration and web browsing, they really don't work very well. So although this system doesn't have web browsing like that Mercedes Command system does, it's really quite useless in that Command system, so there's really no point in getting it over there either. Acura's two-screen system is quite an interesting twist, although I think that it's not quite fully baked in its current generation. I think it's a little bit easier to use than this system, however. That's been our quick look at the Enform system in the 2014 Lexus GS. If you want to know more about that 2014 Lexus GS, then go ahead and follow that link at the bottom to our full review of the Lexus GS hybrid sedan. It'll be up in about a day or two, so if you're watching this video right away and that link doesn't work, then just check back in a few days. I also encourage you to subscribe to our channel. You can click that other option down here on the screen and be directed over to our subscribe page. Again, I'm Alex Dykes. This has been the 2014 Lexus GS hybrid, and we'll see you next week.